You want me to do the introduction?
Yeah, please. What time is it?
It is 8:59.
Okay. Why don't we wait like a couple minutes?
Okay.
I can't see how many participants are online right or are doing are online.
I can. Let's see. There are
Try to
8.
like. Okay, cool. Try to free up as much bandwidth as possible here.
Okay. We're live on Facebook, so
Okay.
whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, you want to give me a little introduction here?
Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday's free business webinar with Southwest Colorado Disaster Assistance and the La Plata Economic Recovery Task Force. I'm MJ, even though it says Hannah every morning, here to introduce our presenter. Today we have Nick Kogos from Visit Durango, and he's going to talk about why good content matters. I'm noticing a lot of these names every day, which is awesome, which means you guys are getting a lot of good content out of these webinars. So feel free to share it with your friends and other fellow small businesses in the area. The purpose of this webinar is to share relative information for local businesses from our local marketing professional community. So it's all volunteer based. We're just here. We want to help you guys out and give you tips on how you can sharpen your brand's presence online during these times so that when the economy reopens, you are ready to recover. And so join us again next week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 10-ish. I think the last one right now is May 8th, but we might add on more. So TBD. And feel free to email southwestcoda@gmail.com if you have any topics that you want to learn about on future webinars. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Nick. This is his second presentation. The first one was awesome, so I'm sure you guys will get a lot out of this one. And I'll send a follow-up email afterwards with the recording of the webinar, plus his presentation and his email if you have any questions for him. But at the end, feel free of the presentation to add Q&A or questions at the bottom in your toolbar, and Nick can answer them at the end of his presentation. So Nick, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So my name is Nick Kogos. Like she said, so I'm from Visit Durango, and just so everyone's clear, I have my notes on this screen, so I'm not just like staring off into space and being weird. So I'm going to be like kind of going back and forth like this. So just so you kind of have a heads up on that. But today's marketing class is going to be like talking really about content and what content is, what it's, what good content looks like, what bad content looks like, and why really it matters for the success of your business online and getting more customers in your funnel. And with that, I just want to say that I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. I think I think my allergies have started to come back. So apologize for my raspy voice today. But just a little quick introduction about me in case you're not familiar. I'm the new marketing manager for Visit Durango. I recently moved here from Flagstaff, Arizona, like just over a month ago. And I've been professionally producing content in some form since 2008. How I would classify myself in the content world is a writer, photographer, and like an amateur iPhone videographer. So if anyone has any questions about how all that works, yeah, feel free to reach out to me in the chat or online afterwards. As I mentioned before, in my last class, I have a unhealthy obsession with sushi. I dream about sushi all the time. It's great. I love sushi. And some special talents. I can actually ride a unicycle, and I can do wheelies on a wheelchair. So if anyone has either one of those and wants to see something hilarious, yeah, just I don't know, maybe we can meet in a parking lot and shoot some video and be funny. Yeah, and like I said before, if you have any questions or anything you want to reach out to me directly, or even pitch me an idea, feel free to reach out to me via that email right there. Okay, so just kind of diving right in. Today is going to be somewhat packed, and I swear we're going to make it through together. Don't worry. This topic can be a little abstract, so I tried to make the whole presentation a little bit more grounded with examples and how-tos. Because it's just such kind of a vague topic like content. Okay, like what does that mean? So tried to ground it as best that I could. And today we're going to be covering these topics that are right here. So what is content exactly? And what does good content look like? What does bad content look like? And out of good content, why does good content matter in the scheme of things? And last, I'm going to give you all some great resources in order to step up your content game and make your content that much better. Okay. So what is content exactly? And we're going to start with the basics here. And content is broken down into, these are the most common types of content. We've got website copy, we've got blog posts, social media posts, photography and videography, and on the audio side, radio or podcasts, and then newsletters. And these are definitely the big beefy ones. There are many other types of content like ebooks, infographics, downloadable guides. But for simplicity's sake, and because these are the most common, this is kind of what I'm defining right now as content. And if anyone has any questions about like what additional content pieces are out there, we can talk about it in the chat. But yeah, these are the most common ones for sure. Okay, so what does good content look like? What does bad content look like? And in order to grasp kind of, how each is good and bad, I'm going to kind of talk about the features of good content, what good content feels like, and what bad content often features and what it feels like. Okay, so good content is and contains the following attributes. So it's pretty straightforward. And before I kind of dive into all of these, I want to say that good content, if you think of yourself and envision your company as a Wikipedia page for all things related to your business, all the topics, what would that Wikipedia page look like? What would it have on there? And so your content, relating back to that Wikipedia example, needs to be original and not stolen from other places. It needs to be this is a big one, able to provide answers and advice to users who are looking online for something. It needs to be actionable. You need to give someone something to do with your content. It needs to be accurate. You don't need to just be don't make facts and figures. You need to show that you've done your homework, you've done your research, and that everything that you're providing with your content is accurate. Full of links or sources to sources or more content is a big one. And that ties in with being accurate. One thing that having links to more of your content is a great way to just provide making yourself more of an authority on the subject that you're trying to talk about. And then obviously with the sources, it's going to just make you more of a trustworthy source because you've done your homework again and you're showing, hey, I'm backing up this fact and figure with a source. Engaging or thought-provoking. So no one wants to read something that isn't, thought-provoking or engaging or something. No one wants to read something bland or boring because we're inundated with so much content online or offline. And so you want to try to make it as engaging as possible, because otherwise you're just going to get what we call lost in the feed, lost in the other noise of all the other content that's out there. Topical or timely. So everyone's kind of talking about COVID right now and what everyone's going to be doing post COVID. So that's an example. If you were to create content around what you're doing post COVID, that's an example of not stale content, something that's topical or timely. And last, easy to read. I can't stress this enough. The ones that I've worked in the past to talk about jargon and try to impress people with how much they know about a particular topic. But when you're writing content, the rule of thumb is you want to pretend that you're writing to, this sounds pathetic, but a seventh grader. So make it as simplistic as possible. Try to, I like to say, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS, and make it easy to read for everyone. Don't put in tons of jargon in there. Yeah, and just kind of good content doesn't need to have all of these factors in it. If you have 2 or 3, that's great. So try to when you're creating content, hit as many of these pieces as possible, but don't lose sleep if you're not having all of these attributes in there. And I'm just going to kind of showcase and call out a couple of businesses when I was creating this presentation of what good content looks and feels like. And it was kind of cool when I was doing this research and creating this presentation. I was pleasantly surprised how many companies in Durango are like just killing it with the content that they're producing. Obviously, I was only able to pull what I could offline, or online, but there's, I'm sure, some great resources offline with collateral and radio and podcasts and those types of things, downloadable guides. Looking at these examples right here, we've got a blog post from Duranglers on the left. The center one is a Instagram post by Purgatory, and the one on the right is a it's an email that I received from like a web-based like how to provides web design tips. That's an email that they have sent me, and so the one on the left is answering a question: how do I get my fishing license from home? So with COVID that's happening right now, this is a great piece that's topical, because it's talking about what you can do right now at home to get your fishing license. Something that you might be thinking about, fishing season that's going on right now in the summer, but you can't really do anything without a fishing license. So this topic, or this blog post right here, is great for providing information that is both accurate, timely, topical, and is really engaging for the user who is trying to figure out how to get a fishing license at home right now. The centerpiece is an Instagram post, like I said, from Purgatory, and it's just really an engaging piece because you're trying to figure out what's going on in here. It's really interesting to look at, and they have a great on the right here of this that's kind of covered up by it. They've got a great actionable thing for you to do where it takes you offline, off of this post and onto their website where they answer like what is actually going on right here. And then the piece on the right, again, that email from the web design company that provides me just tips and tricks. They've got a great topical piece of just how to work from home in an effective manner with some great tips. So topical, engaging, and I'm really interested in learning more about that because it's very catchy and just interesting to read about. So on the flip side of, before I get into the what makes a bad, or what does bad content look like, I want to say that kind of a cornerstone, like that kind of hits all of those boxes, checks all of those boxes of what good content is it sounds funny, but it's a show on YouTube called Hot Ones. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this show, but it's a video series where a person interviews a famous celebrity. In this case, it's Guy Fieri and while they're doing an interview, they're eating chicken wings and they're doing 10 chicken wings from like mild to extremely, extremely spicy and hot. And so you both get to like learn about a celebrity in a very in-depth, personal way while you're watching them struggle their way through eating these chicken wings. So not only is it original because no one else is doing something like this, it's really authentic and engaging to watch because you're watching a celebrity kind of try to hold it together in this interview while answering these really tough questions about their life and their career and all of that. So it's not stale whatsoever because they just recently did a quarantine version of this, which was really fun to watch. And the concept is really easy to digest. It's easy to not read per se, but I mean, everyone gets the idea of an interview while people are eating chicken wings. It's not that complicated. But getting back to like those other things, it's really an engaging show, and it's just really authentic. I highly recommend watching a few of these videos because they're not only just a good example of good content, but they're really entertaining to watch. All right. What is bad content, and what does it kind of look and feel like? And before I say, I didn't want to call out any particular business, both in Durango and elsewhere. I just didn't want to throw them under the bus. But I'm sure a lot of you looking at these things here can think of some examples that you've seen, that I would call bad content. Going through this list, the big one is focused on you, not your audience. So as much as you think that talking about your company and your history and why you're an amazing, X, fill in the blank there, your audience unfortunately doesn't really care about that. They're going online or looking for your content because they're looking for answers. They have questions and they're interested in, or they want to find out answers to their questions. Having just content that is really focused on you doesn't really do anything to improve anyone's life in that case. Another thing is that I mentioned on what is good content is it's not stale and boring. Bad content is stale and boring. And so you want to, again, like think of content as a way to inform, educate, and entertain. And you can't have those if your content is stale and boring. Something that is often overmissed is what I call late to the party, where if you're starting to write about COVID right now, you're kind of late to the party. COVID's been going on for 3 months now, and or really like in the American zeitgeist, it's been going on for the last 3 months or 4 months, whatever it is. And so if you're just writing about COVID and like how to work from home in an effective manner, you're late to the party, because all of that content, all of that was on people's minds months ago. And now at this point, you're just kind of seeing, it's just kind of like people are like raising an eyebrow and like, okay, why are you writing about this right now? You're a couple months behind all of this. Something that I don't know if anyone's familiar with 30 Rock, the show, but there's something called the fellow kid, which is in a nutshell trying to pander to an audience. The clip, I'll explain it for those not familiar. But Steve Buscemi on the right goes into a high school and tries to connect with high school students, and he's carrying a skateboard and is clearly dressed or trying to dress like a high schooler. And he goes up to a couple of kids who are hanging out by their lockers, and he says, "How do you do, fellow kids?" And that's just kind of a pathetic way to try to engage with an audience that's really inauthentic and just panders too much. So try to avoid. I see this a lot of times on social media, where people are just trying to connect with an audience and just hitting them over the head too hard, and it just comes across as being just, you kind of roll your eyes. You're like, okay, it's clear that you're trying to connect with this audience. It's just not authentic. Moving on, plagiarizing is a big thing that I see a lot with content. People just blatantly steal other people's ideas, their writing, pictures, whatever, and you, for a number of reasons that I don't have the time to get into, you can't do that. You're going to get in trouble, not just online, but offline through potential litigation and a lawsuit. So please avoid plagiarizing at all cost. The content isn't promoted in multiple places. I hear this all the time. Well, everyone's on Facebook. I'll just create social media posts there. That's not necessarily true. I'm personally not on Facebook as much as some of the other social media platforms. So I'm not going to see your content if it's just on Facebook. I might see it on LinkedIn or during a web search, or I might be walking by your business and see signage in your store talking about, answering questions or talking about what you do. And so my point is that you want to promote your content in multiple places to try to hit different audiences who might be on one platform but not another. Tying in with that kind of fellow kids example, it just looks and feels fake. I think that's pretty clear. Going back to that fellow kids, and focus too strongly on producing results. I see this a lot of times with companies that are really aggressive with sales. They're trying to just hammer buy, and they're not particularly answering the questions that I'm looking for. They're just trying to get me to purchase from them as quick as possible. And people smell that a mile away, a mile away. So make sure that your content is authentic, it's organic, it's answering questions, and it's not just trying to get me to buy something as quick as possible, because that puts a bad taste in people's mouth and they can smell it pretty quick. And the big one, kind of summarizing all of this in a nice, easy way to think about is just, bad content doesn't add value to people. It doesn't improve the lives of people. And really, if you're trying to figure out, is my content, am I heading in the right direction with my content? Here's a gut check for you to do. You need to ask yourself, what value am I providing my customers? If the I'm out of order here. If you're providing little or no value to them, if you're asking yourself that question, you might need to reconsider what you're creating, because it might not be, you might be going down that alley of this might be bad content. So you really strive to improve someone's life, either online or offline, just in a little way, through your content being relatable, answering questions, and everything that I covered. What is good content? All right, so why does content matter in the grand scheme of things? Why should I be doing it? And I get asked this a lot. Why should I create videos? Why should I do a blog? I'll just put everything on Facebook. And really, content does a lot of things. It matters. And for both your businesses and your interested customers, some of those reasons are that it positions you as a trustworthy business and an expert on whatever your industry is. It provides multiple touch points. So instead of just hitting them over your head with a website saying, oh, they'll go to my website, they'll buy X, Y, and Z, or they'll come into my store because they see the sign. That might not necessarily be the case. I think the latest stat is that it takes 11 touch points start to finish before someone buys your product or service. And so content provides an opportunity for you to have multiple touch points and hit people those 11 times and convince them to purchase, not just relying on a single source like a website, a flyer, your sign out front, as being the one driving force to try to create sales. It educates your customers so they can speak your language. That kind of sounds funny, but if someone is not familiar with, let's say, carpet cleaning, or if you have a flood, like what restoration looks like, if you educate them in your content of like, okay, here's what restoration means, here's what remediation means, they're going to be able to kind of talk a little bit, like speak your language a little bit when they're interested in buying your products or services. They're not coming in off the street asking what you would consider really dumb questions, because they're familiar just on a base level of what your products and services, like what your industry looks like, and how, and what the common buzzwords are in there. It makes you more competitive with the big dogs. This is kind of an interesting one, because big dogs are what I consider to be, like if you're a local hardware store, for example, a big dog in your industry might be Home Depot or Lowe's, and providing regular content makes you, it elevates you to a level that you can start competing with the other big dogs in the area. And because with this big push for everyone to buy local, having regular content actually would incentivize someone to not visit a big dog, because you're just they're aware of what you do and are answering their questions. You're a trustworthy business, and combine that with people's desires to buy local. It's just kind of a win-win situation. And going along with that, content creates this top of mind. So if you're constantly providing good content and they're regularly seeing it, when they think of, oh, I have to go to the hardware store for X, Y, and Z, they've seen so much of your content, that you're top of mind for, oh, I'm going to go to this store because I've seen so much of what they've produced. Just creating that top of mind. And an example kind of this on the right of creating top of mind for winter sports is something that Visit Durango has produced. This is a blog article, which is a guide to winter sports. So we have, in addition to this blog post, we have many blog posts about, things to do, like how places to go snowshoeing in Durango, places to go winter biking in in Durango, So this content is regularly educating our customers and just providing those multiple touch points. So when they have questions about, what do I want to do winter-wise or summer-wise in Durango, they can come to our website because they know that we're a trustworthy and a great resource for answering all of their questions about what to see and do in Durango. And the big two ones are content can actually increase leads and sales, and it can reduce your overall monthly marketing spend per customer because content is relatively cheap to produce compared to advertising. I mean, I won't get into the numbers, but you can produce a lot more content like numbers wise than you could be placing a billboard ad, for example. All right, that's fine. But, I get asked this a lot, like, how is someone reading my blog post going to buy from me online? And you'd be surprised. Here's an actual example of how a blog post got $275 from me last year. So last year, I was interested in buying a soda stream. I started getting on this kick of drinking the fizzy water, the LaCroix. And I was wondering, how much fizzy water would I have to drink in order to make buying a soda stream worth it? So what did I do? I searched on Google, is it worth buying a soda stream? And boom, look, you can see in that first listing article there, it's answering my question. And so I clicked on that blog post and it took me to this, I clicked on that link and it took me to this blog post from the Simple Dollar, which is just like a general, like how to save money website. And this piece basically broke it down and showed me, how much money I would save by buying a soda stream and how much fizzy water I would have to drink in order for a soda stream to be worth it. And in addition, it provided me with some information of how to make my soda stream, how to make the use cheaper per soda that I'm making. And the content, going back to like what good content is, this blog post had everything. It was original. It provided me an answer to the question that I was looking for. It was accurate because they're listing all of their sources right here. It was really engaging, and it was easy to read because I was just finding all the information that I need right here. And the big thing is it was actionable links. And so, I wanted to learn about ways of this link right here. Right here about buying an adapter to make my soda stream a little bit more efficient and to save on CO2. And so what did I do? I clicked on that link and it brought me to eBay. And I I learned about what this hose does, the CO2 hose from that previous blog post. And what I did was I ended up purchasing this hose along with a soda stream. And the cool thing is, or something worth considering is, I never talked to a salesperson. I never called anyone. I never visited an office. I literally did all of this through a Google search. I found the information that I was looking for. I was convinced from that blog article, from that company, that they were a trustworthy source. They kind of knew what they were talking about. The information they're providing is accurate. All of those pieces put together equated to me making two purchases totaling $275. And it was all thanks to good content. Okay, so kind of wrapping things up here, and I want to provide, some great resources that will kind of get the wheels turning a little bit of how to create good content. And some of these things right here, I'll just quickly breeze through these things. This is a blog post that I wrote a few months ago about 10 things to remember when writing a blog post. It's kind of like an introductory to writing a blog post and then also website copy. And I know that was covered in some previous webinars, but this is just another resource to provide you. A beginner's guide to photography using your phone. Just getting into like, okay, I don't have a professional camera to take beautiful pictures for my flyers or my website. No, you can do it all with your phone. Canva, which is kind of like a marketer's secret weapon. It's a great way to produce it's basically a very simple graphic design tool for you to create everything from social media posts to flyers and everything in between. It's amazing. getting back, I'm gonna give a little shout out to Laura Ritz. So if you have any questions about content other than what I've provided right here, if you want to dive into it a little bit deeper with a professional that has way more experience than me, Durango Wordsmith, Laura Ritz, she's amazing. So you can contact her contact information, or her website link is right there. And a big thing is, which I'll talk about in the next one, next slide, is how to build a content marketing strategy start to finish. This is from HubSpot. It's like it's literally an outline of how to create a content marketing strategy. And then if you want to kind of follow along like best practices for things and how content is shifting each year, there's actually a marketing institute called the Content Marketing Institute. That's great to subscribe to their newsletter. They give great advice on how to do X, Y, and Z, just on a very, very beginner's level. I subscribe to them, and they're great for just providing regular information and best practices for things. Okay, so what you can do right now with COVID happening, and it's really a great time to define your content strategy. Like, what does content look like? What do I want people to read or watch? And really, if you don't have a content strategy, you could be heading towards that route of creating bad content or just being so overwhelmed all in all that you're not creating anything at all. So avoid what Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny is trying to figure out right there on his on the poster board thing. Okay. So as you're, what is a content strategy? Like what does it look and feel like? And go back to that HubSpot resource that I provided in the previous slide. And then when you're building out that content strategy, ask yourself these questions: who's my audience? What do they look and feel like? And what content am I producing now? Am I producing anything at all? And what content am I interested in producing? Have I always wanted to do a YouTube channel? Have I wanted to create flyers for my business? Just kind of put that laundry list together of what other content I want to do besides what I'm already doing. And then defining your team, who is going to be doing what? Who's going to be creating the content? Who's going to be reading it and giving edits? And who's going to be publishing it? Just figuring out those roles and who's going to be doing what. If you're a one-man show, that makes it really easy to do. And don't forget, there's plenty of local marketing agencies and marketing professionals that you could potentially hire as a subcontractor to help you either write content, review it, or publish it. And then tying in with that, how and where am I going to publish my content? Is it just going to be online? Is it going to be printed out and given to people with a receipt? Try to figure out where in general, besides one place, are you going to publish your content? And how do I measure success? What does success look like for my content? Is it going to be, 100 more Facebook likes? Okay, great. You can kind of work backwards from there and figure out, okay, I need to be doing X amount of Facebook posts because each Facebook post creates 5 likes. Okay, then you can say, okay, X amount of Facebook posts are going to get me to that 100 more likes. And Petzl, an example here in this slide, if you want to see a good company that has kind of tied everything, is producing great content and it's all seamless and clear that they have a plan in place, poke around Petzl's website, look at their, go down about the bottom of the page, look at what they're doing with their social media and their blog, and you can see a company that's kind of tied everything together with using a comprehensive marketing strategy or content strategy. And really, something that I want to talk about here and drive home, that content is king. Content is so important. I can't understate how important content is. It really makes the difference between a business that is doing well and a business that can take it to the next level. So content really is king. Bill Gates said it like in the 90s, and it still holds true today. And with that, I'm just going to kind of open it up for questions or comments. You can post them right in the chat. And something I'd like to say is my content writer, producer is a cat. So that's my secret weapon. And my advice is just to get a cat to do all of your content, and get one of those. They can take care of it all for you. So with that, I'll open up to questions and then we'll go from there. All right, any questions at all? No questions. Wow. Presentation must have been great then. Okay, well, no one's got any questions, then I'm going to call this this adjourned here. If you do have any questions, I'm going to put my my email address right here in the again in the little chat bar. And like Hannah said and MJ said, they're going to be sending out this slide deck after the fact. And then if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me direct. So with that, I'm going to end this meeting, and everyone have a good day, happy weekend or happy Friday, and enjoy your weekend. Talk to you guys all soon. Thanks.